when I was in the trenches, in the moments, everything was horrible. It was bad. It was complete suffering. It was complete negativity, right? When I actually look back and think about the benefits that came out of it, they were 10 times, if not more, they were more than 10 times greater than the actual suffering that I felt. Hey guys, how's it going? Miguel here with CFS Recovery. I help people recover from CFS or a hypersensitive nervous system. If you're new to this channel, I have a lot of videos that break down what's going on, how to fix it, how to deal with certain things like symptoms, how to expand activity, and all of that good stuff. So if you are new to this channel, make sure to stick around, hit that subscribe button, make sure you comment down below. But this video, I'm going to dive deep into the gratitude effect. Now, what is the gratitude effect? I'll give you a little background. When I made the most progress in my recovery, that's when I was the most grateful. And it wasn't the other way around. I didn't make the progress first and then I was grateful. I was actually grateful first and then I was able to make lots of progress. Now, when it comes to being grateful and, thinking positive emotions, it's a very slippery slope. And, it's a very evasive thing that we constantly try to chase. We always try to focus on the positive and be happy and make sure we're all good to go. And in reality, in life, in general, that is not the case. Things are going to go bad sometimes. Things are going to go sideways. It's not always going to work out how we planned it. But with the gratitude effect, we're able to look at everything as a whole and appreciate both the good and the bad together. So I kind of want to paint a picture for you here. We're going to dive deep into this quick presentation I've put together. So on one hand, we have the good and the positive, right? And you'll see how this all ties in together in a couple minutes here. But the good and positive, right? We want to focus on happiness, excitement, positivity, good thoughts, and we'll do everything we can to focus on those things. But of course, on the other side of life, there is good and positive. On the other side, there's also bad and negative, right? Which is the opposite side. So we're constantly going back and forth between good and positive and good and positive. And it's almost like internally we're having a tug of war between good and evil, happiness and sadness, positive and negative. Whenever symptoms come up, whenever we feel tired, whenever we feel like we're going backwards in recovery, we're going to go on this roller coaster journey. And that is very, very draining, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally, right? Now, a step further than this is when we realize that there are both good and positive things, but also bad and negative. So if we look at this, it's almost like a Venn diagram. Some things can overlap, right? Because sure, maybe you try to stay positive, but you realize, okay, I can't stay positive all the time. So negative thoughts come up and you're in a negative state, right? Maybe you try to even stay in the middle, balancing the good and the bad, the positive and the negative, the times where you're feeling better, where you have moments of clarity, where you have windows where you're actually feeling a lot less symptoms, but then all of a sudden you get symptoms flare up and all of a sudden you're in a negative state. So the common perception of all of this is that we can only focus on either or, right? So we're either going to focus on just the good things. We're going to take like a magnifying glass mentally and focus on all the good things and try to ignore all the bad things, right? Or on the other hand, when we get into a state of panic and fear and anxiety and all those things, we get into a state of just focusing on the negative things, right? And when we're so focused on looking at that and we go down that downward spiral, then this is all that we see. We don't see any good. We don't see any positive. We only look at the worst case scenarios and all the things that could go wrong, that could go bad. And what you need to understand is with the gratitude effect, you're able to look at this from a completely different perspective because you're not just focusing on the positive and you're not just focusing only on the negative, but you're looking at everything from a holistic perspective. You're seeing how everything plays a role into each other because without good, there is no bad. Without day, there is no night. Without rain, there is no sunshine. Without sadness, there is no happiness. And you could look at everything in the world. There are always polar opposites, especially with the things going on in our lives. We don't see the benefit in the situations because we just didn't look hard enough. Now, before you shut this video down, because you're probably here, then you're like, okay, what is the benefit in this situation? I'm literally stuck at home all day. I'm doing nothing. Like, I'm not productive with my life. I've lost my job, the social aspect. Maybe, you've lost some family members who've kind of shut you out, or you're clashing, or anything like that. You only see the negative side of things. But there's this really good book that breaks all of this down in much better detail than I can break it down. But it's called The Gratitude Effect. And it's a gratitude effect written by Dr. John F. Demartini. Really amazing book. And this has completely changed my outlook on a lot of different things. Now, I didn't realize it, but I was applying the gratitude effect when I was sick, when I was in the hospital, when I came out of the hospital, when I was getting better. So this book really dives deep into the gratitude effect, and how even in the smallest of things, there are actually benefits. And maybe you might not see them right now because you haven't looked hard enough. But for me, when I look back when I was sick and I had pretty much my life stripped away from me, there were actually many benefits that came out of it. Things that, seem like very harsh lessons, but at the same time, those were lessons that I needed at the time. So I would highly recommend reading this or listening to this. I'll leave a link down below for the Audible version. I've read this actual physical book, and I'm going to listen to the audiobook just to really ingrain everything into my brain so that I have a whole different level of comprehension and retention. But normally I'll read books over like 2 or 3 weeks. This book I read in 5 days. It was that good. So essentially, when I look back on my recovery, when I was in the trenches, in the moments, everything was horrible. It was bad. It was complete suffering. It was complete negativity, right? When I actually look back and think about the benefits that came out of it, they were 10 times, if not more, they were more than 10 times greater than the actual suffering that I felt. Because if I hadn't gotten sick, right? If I hadn't gotten sick, I would have continued being a personal trainer. I would have continued living life with my ego, chasing these materialistic things, constantly pushing my body to its absolute limits. I would always be stressed out. I would never have time for family because I would put work before everything else. I wouldn't be a more well-rounded person. So if I had continued down that path, those are some bad things that would have happened. Whereas now, having gone through this, there are so many lessons, and you are literally in the midst of it right now. There are lessons that you are being forced to learn. If I hadn't gotten better, if I had never even got sick, I wouldn't be talking to you right now. I wouldn't be able to reach people on a much wider scale and work with people all around the world. I wouldn't be able to affect people on a deeper level, because personal training, I was helping them lose weight, look better so that they look good in their pictures on vacations, but I wouldn't be able to help people on this level, actually change people's lives to the point where they're, instead of going in and out of hospitals, every other month, now they're able to actually function somewhat normally. I wouldn't have learned how to really calm my mind, how to adapt to stressors, how to handle more things on my plate. I wouldn't have changed my lifestyle to make time for family and more time for friends. Some of the benefits are I sleep like a baby these days, which is something I rarely had before. Now I'm able to actually fall asleep in 5, 15, 20 minutes and actually sleep for a full 7 or 8, even 10 hours if I wanted to, and have lots of rest. I was able to learn and apply my creative skills building a video production company. And it's a hobby that I never would have dove into if I hadn't gotten sick. Because after I got better, I couldn't go straight into personal training again. I had to do something to keep my mind busy and just to make some money. So I picked up the camera, started making videos, people started hiring me. And from there, I just built my video business. I wouldn't have been able to travel because with filming, it opened up opportunities to traveling. So there's so many benefits that actually came out of that dark situation. And looking at my life now, I'm so thankful that I actually went through that. But I just didn't see it at the time, when I was going through it. So bringing it back to my main point over here, don't try to focus on only seeing the good or the positive in certain situations. Don't focus on trying to only see the bad and negative things, right? A lot of times we try to focus on only the positive and we almost run away from all the bad and negative and we try to block that out, right? But in reality, it's just not possible. It's impossible to never have bad or negative experiences in life. Things will happen that are even out of our control, right? But if we look at things from a more holistic perspective, we don't get too excited when things are going really well, or we don't get too low when things are going bad. We have this understanding that there is this balance in the universe. And, this is getting more philosophical, but it's so true. And you're going to learn that in this book, The Gratitude Effect by Dr. John Demartini. Like I said, I didn't realize that I was applying a lot of these principles during those first 3 months when my doctor first told me the science of everything that was going on, how to recover, how to truly get my life back. From that moment, for the next 3 months, that was the most grateful I had ever felt, because I was at such a low point in life that even just normal things like being able to eat sitting upright and roll around in a wheelchair and just go outside to get some fresh air, even those small things, that seemingly small things, it was such a huge contrast doing those compared to what I had been doing for the previous 7 or 8 months. The first time I went outside to get some fresh air after about 3 or 4 months, it was the best deep breath of fresh air I had ever felt in my life. I remember it was a cloudy day. They rolled me outside in a wheelchair and I was looking up at the sky and I felt like I was in heaven. But I wouldn't have had that level of gratitude and appreciation for life if I didn't go through all those dark times. So that's all I wanted to share in this video. It's just keeping in mind that you're never going to have all positive or you're never going to have all negative. There's going to be a mix of them at all times. Maybe sometimes you shift to more positive than negative things. Sometimes it's the other way around. But at the end of the day, look at everything as a whole, because when you have that expectation of, I only want to focus on positive things, in order to recover, I need to have a good mindset all the time. That is not the case. Even normal people, negative things pop up. So understanding that you need to accept everything as a whole and have gratitude is what's going to really move the needle in your recovery, is one of the things that's really going to move the needle in your recovery. So don't try to be overly positive or block out all the negative. Instead, look at it from a whole perspective and just be grateful. Because when you're grateful, that's one of the most powerful things, because being grateful is something that transcends and overrides all these emotions that come and go. So if you did enjoy this video, if you got some value out of it, make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and comment down below, what are 3 things that you can be grateful for right now? Comment that down below. It could be the simplest of things, but comment that down below. And it's almost like a mental exercise to force you to find the good in the bad. And these are the kind of things we dive deep into on some of the calls in Recovery Jumpstart. So if you did need some extra support, some extra help, and you wanted to just accelerate your recovery journey, make sure to hit the link down below. You can apply for our Recovery Jumpstart program. We've been helping a lot of people, and you can even see up here some of the testimonials and things that people had to say about their experience with the program so far and all the progress that they've made. So I hope this helps. Hope you enjoy this video. Remember, you are just one mind shift away from living a life with thriving health. I'll see you in the next video.